Welcome back to Hermiting with Holly and Susan. And Holly has another question.
And by the way, if you watch the last video, Tallulah has gone to hang out with himself. So she's watching me through the gate, feeling sad because she can't attack me anymore. So the question for today is, do you or me, do we hide Easter eggs in our books? And for those who don't know what an Easter egg is, it's something we hide that friends or people that hang with you a lot would see and get. For instance, I do a lot about Monday Glee, and I don't do it every Monday, but I spend a lot of time talking about Mondays because I love them. Half the world, most of the world hates them, and they all grumble. And yet I've always loved them as the mom of 4 children. They would all go to school. Himself would go to work. And on Mondays, as somebody who works out of her house, the house was mine. It was quiet. It was nice. Maybe there was a dog or two, but otherwise, I love Mondays. Just love them. So in various books, I mention Mondays and the love of Mondays frequently. In Just One Thing, the book almost completely took place on Mondays because every Monday the heroine went to the bar. And so that was just a little shout out to readers. There's a lot of those weird little things that you'll see, and if you hang with me on Facebook or social media anywhere, you probably are going to see it. And I will confess, there may be some pottery references coming up in some new books.
That would not surprise me.
There you go. How about you?
Yes, actually I do, and I have had lots and lots of fun with those. And as a matter of fact, the one in the book that I am going to be releasing here soon, called The Pregnancy Test, has your old car in it.
Oh, Floyd.
Floyd. So Holly had this car.
And he was beautiful.
He was quite the car.
Beautiful is the word she's looking for.
No, it's not the word. I would bust Holly's chops about this car all the time. Because
here's the question. Did you ever have difficulty finding him in a parking lot?
No, that was the only good thing about his ugly color was you could find him.
I would but I stopped myself because I like something.
That's right. So I called it burnt pumpkin, and that's what color Floyd was. And so I would bust Holly's chops all the time about this car. And so this car makes a cameo in the next, more than a cameo. He is the heroine's car in this book, The Pregnancy Test. So,
I will confess, Floyd has been in a few of my books as well, because I've had other cars that I've enjoyed for various reasons. I hated the van, just hated the van. I never even named the van because I hated it that much. But Floyd is the car that will always just have a piece of my heart. I love that car, and he was wonderful no matter what Susan had. And I have to see if I can dig up the picture. I have a lovely picture of her and another friend of ours, Mari, doing this. My car.
I'm sure we can find that and pop it in this video. No problem.
All right, so maybe you'll see that, but if not, she went ahead, my poor little car, who had driven us where we were going, doing like wrong.
Another one.
She's back, and she brought a toy.
You brought a toy, but once you start that, you're stuck in the game.
She's back, so she's not going to play tug of war with me. So as I jiggle here, it's Tallulah. She's getting very strong.
One of the other ones I did with a couple of other authors where we started putting in wooden sticks. So as you're reading any of my books, if you come across the mention of a stick, it may actually be there as an Easter egg, because we had this whole thing about, something an editor had said once about a stick, and we all seized on that, and that became the game. Can you put a wooden stick into your story? So it's fun. It gives us something else to think about as we're writing stories.
I feel too that it adds just a level of personal to the story. I talk a special kind of different that's just out now. There's a Dear Reader letter, and one of the reasons I did a special needs character was we had a neighbor. Her name was Tiffany, and she lived across the street. My kids were still little at the time, and Tiffany loved watches. And for the rest of my life, she wasn't verbal, but she walked up and down the block every day and made noises. And my kids were always really sweet with her. If they went over, they always talked to her. She'd show them their watch. And one day, some kids that were not part of our neighborhood walked by and started mocking her and just being really cruel. My kids all came in, and to this day, the story still touches me because they came in, it was my kids and their friends, sure that I could take care of this. Like, absolutely positive that I would make this right. And I went out and yelled at the kids and told them to go home and, grow a heart.
Stop it. Stop that.
And, I've always yelled at other people's children, and these ones definitely deserved it. And they went and walked with Tiffany so that she didn't have to walk alone and nobody else went and mocked her.
Aww.
And that kind of empathy, as a mom, it was one of my proudest moments. They were just such good kids.
I almost feel like the world would be a better place if more of us started yelling at other people's children again. I feel like there's a lot of chaos out there and a lot of disrespect and a lot of like crazy behavior. So maybe that's what we need is,
There are certain children who know who they are, who pretty much lived at my house. So I had my 4, and there were 2 or 3 other ones that were there as often as not.
Mm-hmm.
And went with us, like we'd go to Cedar Point, and
take them with
various
you.
children would go with us. And my theory always was, and I was really upfront with parents, that if they were at my house, they would be treated like my kids. So if they were there and it was lunchtime, I'd feed them. And if they were stepping out of line, I would correct them.
Or banish them. Go home.
I feel like my bite was never quite as scary as I wanted it to be. Since sometimes as I yelled, people laughed. So that I never thought was well done. So I'd be like, and they'd be chuckling. And I'm like, no, I mean it. I'm really annoyed.
When I raise my voice, no.
Yeah, I don't know that I don't feel like I'm overly threatening. I don't know why people don't think I'm threatening. I feel like I should be threatening. But I did come up with wonderful tortures for my children.
There you go.
As a sideline. And I just implemented one with the minions the other day. So when they're misbehaving, I highly recommend this if you have more than one. You make them sit cross-legged on the floor and touch noses.
Nose to nose. Yep. There you go.
Excellent torture.
All right. Well, there you go. Easter eggs. They're fun. Anyway, we'll see you next time.
Bye, guys.